What up, cucks? It's your boy the Hater up in this piece, and these last few days I've been having a lot of fun making fun of Cucky Rhodes and CM Cuck, you know what I'm saying? It's a good time. It's a good time, and I love how it gets to people. I love how sensitive people are about wrestling, right? And the one thing about this that I think needs more highlighting is the fact that it wasn't always like this, right? This isn't how it's supposed to be. When people get too obsessed over something, right, things hit the fan, and that thing typically becomes lame, right? I remember an episode when I was in law school and I went to a bar. Now, this is before the Hater made the life-altering decision of not drinking ever again. And the Hater was quite the drinker, if I do say so myself, and I was quite the scrapper, if I do say so myself. And this kind of goes on to those things where we're like, oh, he can't beat up Nakamura. I would beat the shit out of Nakamura, especially, if I was in my drunken days. I would murder him, right? That's not the point. The point is this: I'm at a bar, and the Hater was a big fan of the Washington Redskins, right? No reason. I just like their logo. I thought it was a badass thing. But I was in Jersey, right? So a lot of Giants fans in Jersey. So I go to a bar, the Redskins are playing, the Giants are playing, right? Not each other, but they're playing. So I'm watching the game, and I'm a little drunk, and this guy there's a little drunk too. And, I don't remember who said what first, but long story short, we almost get into a fight over my love of the Redskins and his love of the Giants. Obviously, since then, several years later, I decided to be a Tampa Bay fan while Tom Brady was there, because that's how I roll. I pick the players I like, cucks. But anyways, long story short, I remember my friend being like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like you're about to fight this guy over the Redskins? And then I had this moment of realization where I'm like, that would be the dumbest thing ever, right? It would be the stupidest thing in the world to fight over which team we like more. A team called the Redskins or a team called the Giants. That would be incredibly stupid, right? And that's the moment when I realized how fandom can really get out of hand. And since then, really, I haven't really been a hardcore fan of really anything. You know what I mean? I've betrayed all the soccer teams that I used to cheer for, except for AC Milan. I'm still an AC Milan fan. But beyond that, it's like I don't really give a damn, right? And it's the same thing with wrestling, right? So people really get butthurt about wrestling, right? Just think of it as a show, right? Now, there is another step into this. And that step is when people start caring about fictional characters. Like, people have lost their minds. This society is going straight to hell because everyone is a complete moron. I'll tell you a quick story. I mentioned it before, years ago. I come home to my apartment. My roommate and I, who have been very good friends for a long time, like we're high school friends. This is like after I went to college and after law school. So he and I have been friends for a long time. He's a big fan of, or was a big fan of The Walking Dead. I didn't really watch that crap because it just didn't appeal to me, right? So it's like the season finale, right? And apparently some character named Glenn, who's the Asian guy, I believe, and some other guy get murdered in the season finale, right? And my friend was like, he already saw the writing on the wall. He's like, someone's getting murdered. I think it's going to be him, or I think it's going to be him, whatever. It doesn't matter, right? Long story short, they show the end. They show Glenn getting murdered by the guy with the bat. I think his name is Negan. I don't know my name very, very much. All I know is Daryl, you know what I'm saying? So he gets beaten to death with a bat, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then, whatever, my friend's like, oh, that sucks. And then he went on to, make dinner for himself, right? And I went on to my room so I could play some video games or whatever the hell I was doing at that time, right? So, the thing is, afterwards, he left the TV on, so I come around, and I see on TV they have that, not Joel McHale, but the other guy who hosts everything. I forget his name. He reminds me of Joel McHale. This guy's a fucking loser. I hate him so much, right? And I hate him because he has this somber tone. It pans to people in the crowd crying because the fictional character of Glenn got killed, right? And the host is acting like a real person died. He's like, oh, the shocking scenes from tonight's episode. We are still reeling from it. No, we're not. You fucking weird bitch. We're not reeling from the death of Glenn, a make-believe character. Right, then they have Glenn, the actor who plays Glenn. He comes up and everyone's like, they cheer. They give him a standing ovation because his character died. He's some great actor, which is actually funny because the guy is a great actor, but that's not here or there. The point is, the way they took it so seriously reminds me of how wrestling fans are today. People will really cry because CM Punk comes back. The only time when I got close to feeling something, definitely not close to crying, but feeling something was when Christian Cage became the world heavyweight champion. But that's only because he, as like the guy that plays Christian Cage, was held down for so long. And I'm like, oh man, finally he's getting like, the recognition he deserves. In other words, my emotion was not based on kayfabe, right? My emotion was not, oh, Triple H saved his wife from Randy Orton. Like, I feel nothing about that. And if you do, no offense, that's fucking weird, man. That's fucking weird. If you go into a show or a movie and you start feeling the emotions that the characters are feeling, you obviously have some sort of emotional imbalance. Like, you need some help, man. I'm sorry to tell you. It's not normal to feel excited for someone that gets excited, right? Now, you can feel the emotions associated with a movie, like if you watch a horror movie and you get scared, you're a pussy, obviously, but whatever, it is what it is. Like, that's what's supposed to happen, right? And if you feel all warm-hearted after watching, Titanic, you're still a pussy, but that's what's supposed to happen. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you feel the passion that Cody Rhodes feels about main eventing WrestleMania, you're fucking weird. There's no way around it. You're fucking weird. It's like those people that go on the forums and they're like, Cody deserves it. He pushed himself. CM Punk, he speaks for us. He's the voice of the voiceless. Like, if you talk like that or you write posts like that, you're like, there's a possibility that you are like just extremely stupid. That's always a possibility, right? But more likely than that, you're just emotionally unstable, and that's probably worse than being stupid because, you can fix that. You can't fix stupid, so you can fix it, but you don't fix it, which is the bigger problem. But anyways, I digress. The point is, this level of emotion should not be displayed by the wrestlers themselves either, right? For the same reason. It's simple as that. Like, if wrestling was real, like, imagine, like, the Super Bowl's coming up, right? If I see an interview with Patrick Mahomes, and he starts crying, and being like, oh, it's such an honor to play in the Super Bowl, I'm automatic, not just me, but most NFL fans are going to think, pussy, right? No one's going to think this makes him better. Oh, he showed emotions about this moment. Like, no. That's some girly shit. That's some girly, neckbeard anime shit. Wrestling is not made for that audience. Now, Cody Rhodes understands that it is made for that audience, so he goes full neckbeard, right? But don't confuse the fact, right? There's no reason why anyone should be crying about having a big achievement around the corner, right? There's no reason why anyone should cry if they win. Like, maybe if you're an actor, which they're already like sensitive people with like no testosterone, right? Like, it's okay to cry if you win an Oscar and you're an actor, because at the end of the day, you're like an emotional fucking wreck, right? Like, you're like, at best, you're like Will Smith, a man who can't control himself and can't control like his life at all, right? But if you're an athlete, and wrestlers are supposed to be at least presented more as athletes, right? I understand they're more actors than they are athletes, but they're presented as athletes. And if wrestlers are to be presented as athletes, they need to behave like athletes. Anyone who cries, like when the Super Bowl is over, like, you think Gronk cries, right? You think Tom Brady cries? If they do, they're pussies. You shouldn't be crying. You win something, you're happy about your win, and that's it. You feel dominant. You feel like you've accomplished something, right? Now, some people cry for other reasons, like they have like, emotional issues, or maybe they really believe in God and they're like, thank you, God, and they cry out of humility. There's a bunch of different reasons. But this idea of men crying is not acceptable. You know what I'm saying? And if you're going to cry, at least, acknowledge that you're a pussy, right? Like, I mean, literally, in kayfabe, they should acknowledge that they're pussies, right? So, like, Roman Reigns, who is, like, a complete wrestling character, he doesn't cry, he doesn't complain. He's like this, just like a cool dude, right? Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins cry and complain and then tell me that they're the workhorses, right? So it's like, the question is not which championship would Dusty want, right? Because Dusty is going to want the championship that fits him better. The quote-unquote workhorse championship. The championship of the mid-carders, right? The better question is, what kind of man would Dusty want to be? Would he want to be closer to Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins as a man? And the answer is the same for almost every man that's ever walked God's green earth. Most men would want to be Roman Reigns. And for that reason, you want to go after Roman Reigns' title. That should be like axiomatic in wrestling, right? You know those times when it's like the number one championship is presented as being like the Raw title, whatever, whichever iteration it is, right? But the champion is like Daniel Bryan. But on SmackDown, let's say, the champion is like Randy Orton. It's like, all of a sudden, in my opinion, the SmackDown title is more important because the champion is better, right? It doesn't really matter, right? It's like when you have like Rey Mysterio as champion of SmackDown, and on Raw you have like Booker T. Booker T is better, right? Like he's more believable as a champion. So that should be the number one title, right? That's what I'm getting at, cucks. So when people cry, their titles are meaningless. And when people cry because they're getting a title shot, I do not resonate with this at all, right? At all. You could be a badass and like, feel arrogant and still win, right? Like Cody Rhodes was better when he was an arrogant heel, but I digress, right? Emotional face, not my cup of tea, but that's what he chose. So, in summation, crying is just not okay, motherfuckers. Crying is not okay unless you have a reason to cry. And a reason to cry is not a fake athlete won a fake title and this makes you feel some type of way. That's fucking weird. You know what I'm saying? And also a reason to cry is in kayfabe, if you win the Royal Rumble, you have no reason to cry and get emotional. Stop it. Stop it. This idea that everyone has to be emotional all the time makes me sick. With that being said, go fuck yourselves.